What if the most terrifying people Jesus ever warned about weren't atheists, false prophets, or obvious sinners? What if they looked almost exactly like faithful Christians? Matthew chapter 7 describes 6 people who expected heaven and discovered they had misunderstood Christianity itself. They call him Lord, they list everything they did in his name, and they hear 4 words that are the most devastating sentence in Scripture. I never knew you. Not, I knew you but you fell away. Never. As in, what you had was never what you thought it was. The Greek word Jesus uses for knew is ginosko, not intellectual awareness, but intimate, relational, experiential knowledge, the kind that only comes from sustained, close connection. He isn't calling these people strangers. He's saying the relationship they believed they had never actually existed in the form they imagined. 1. The title holder. For this person, Christianity is primarily a label. Lord, Lord. The repetition is an argument, a claim. I have used your name. Surely that counts? Matthew 7:21, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father. A title held without relationship behind it is the most dangerous kind of spiritual possession, because it satisfies the conscience without transforming the heart. But here's the frightening part. The second type is even harder to recognize, because they're not pretending, they're serving. 2. The worker without relationship. They prophesied, cast out demons, performed miracles, all in his name. And he still says, depart from me. The works were real. None of it was built on knowing him. An entire spiritual life built on activity performed for God without the quiet, costly intimacy that makes those works an overflow instead of a substitute. Ministry can become the thing that makes you feel close to God while actually keeping you from Him. Stay with me. The next 4 don't get easier to hear. And the last one might describe the most people watching this and the fewest who recognize it. Subscribe now so the rest of this finds you. 3. The shallow soil believer. Luke 8:13. Someone receives the word with real, visible joy. For a moment, they look exactly like someone who has genuinely encountered God. But they have no root. They believe for a while, and in time of testing, they fall away. The word pictures someone stumbling, tripping over an obstacle they never expected. Not people who walked away on purpose. People whose first serious obstacle ended the walk entirely. If your faith has never been tested, you don't yet know what kind of soil you have. Maybe you're listening right now thinking, then is there any hope for me? Stay with me, because what Jesus is warning against was never people beyond grace. It was people who never stopped long enough to examine themselves. 4. The thorny soil believer. And this one hides better than any of the others. Matthew 13:22. The cares of the world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and it proves unfruitful. Choke. Not a sudden rejection, a slow strangling. The attendance is still there, the vocabulary is still there, but the cares of the world have filled the space the word was supposed to grow in. From the outside, a thorny soil life and a good soil life look almost identical. The only place the difference shows up is the harvest. Up to this point, the problem was obvious once Jesus exposed it. The next 2 are different. From the outside, almost nobody can tell anything is wrong. 5. The Whitewashed Tomb. Matthew 23:27. Jesus turns to the most visibly religious people in the room. You are like whitewashed tombs, which outwardly appear beautiful, but within are full of dead people's bones and all uncleanness. Beautiful outside, dead inside. So skilled at maintaining the outside that the inside has gone unexamined for years. 1 John 2:19, people who went out from us, but they were not of us. The outward participation was never matched by the inward reality. The question isn't, does my outside look right? It's whether anything in here is still genuinely responding to God. Take 10 seconds. Ask yourself one question. If Jesus examined my Christianity today, what would he actually find? 6. The one who drifted without noticing. This one scares me more than all the others, because almost nobody wakes up planning to leave Jesus. They simply wake up one day and realize they've been drifting for years. Hebrews 2:1. We must pay much closer attention to what we have heard, lest we drift away from it. The verb is passive, something that happens when you stop actively resisting the current. No crisis, no turning point. Just skipped mornings, shortened prayers, accommodated compromises, until the person singing the same songs, sitting in the same pew, using the same language, has traveled an enormous distance from the God they once knew. Drifting doesn't feel like rebellion. It feels like life getting busy. It feels like priorities shifting. It feels like the reasonable, understandable decisions of a person doing their best. And by the time it becomes visible, the distance is already enormous. Here is what all 6 come back to. A label, a résumé of works, a moment of joy, a full calendar, a clean surface, a slow drift. None of them are relationship. And relationship was the only thing he ever actually asked for. The most terrifying word in Matthew 7:23 isn't depart, it's never. Meaning there is a kind of spiritual activity that can fill an entire lifetime without producing the one thing that matters. But here's the other side of this passage almost no one preaches alongside it. The door that warning speaks of is still open right now. Matthew 7:24-27 comes immediately after. A person who hears these words and builds on the rock. Not someone who performed more, someone who heard and acted. The same Jesus who says, "I never knew you," to the self-deceived, also says to the broken, examining, returning heart, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened." Lord, I do not want to call you Lord and not know you. Examine me, show me what is real and what is performance. Where you find something missing, be the one who fills it. I would rather be broken before you now than confident before you then and find out I was wrong. Remember how we began? Picture standing before Jesus. Only this time, he looks at you and says, "Well done." The difference was never perfection. The difference was relationship. Which one made you pause the video? Type only the number, then tell me why. And if someone you love has been building a life that looks right from the outside, send them this while the door is still open. Subscribe to guard your spirit. Next time, we go into the 6 signs that your spiritual life is asleep and you have not yet noticed.